On Twitch too. It's a better streaming platform than YouTube.
I need to first get this worked out. And find ways to make it much more like a real studio.
Oh, like your background and stuff.
So one day you should sit here
Or at the new house.
and help.
I am. I can't hear you if you're talking to me.
How was work today?
Well, you know, it's work.
Well, it's a blessing to have a job.
I was just gonna say I can't complain.
Yeah.
How's your work day?
All over the place. Listen, so I mean, I don't really. I mean,
You didn't mute yourself. You didn't mute. There you go.
so since we are featuring Black businesses, and I happen to be Black, and I also own a business. One of the most challenging things for me, Michelle, in my construction trade is that sometimes I have this nature that I really just want to help, right? I really just want to help. And when people call me to their homes or what have you, if I can find a way to try to help them, sometimes it ends up costing me a little bit much more money. But the hope is that I build the rapport with them, and then I make my money in the long run, right? And I can't just give away all of my service for free, because I have guys that work for me that I have to take care of, and then myself. This is how I make my living.
Right.
But sometimes you get customers who, you can tell they're cramming and crunching these pennies. So I try to find custom ways to offer them a solution. So sometimes that custom ways is, okay, maybe we can recycle some of these things. I don't believe in recycling. Like if I'm demoing your back porch, I can't use that wood because it works me and my crew. I'm not paying these guys to pull nails out of plywood, right? It's
Right.
cheaper for me to buy another sheet. But some people were like, well, come on, use that so I can keep the cost low. Then they want to know why they don't have everything ain't aligning properly. Well,
Right.
you're using this wood that's been on the wall for a million years. You initially approached the subject as if, I'm okay with living like this. I'm okay with it being a not so perfect, but then now you want perfection at your end results.
Right.
That's what drives me absolutely insane. And here's the thing, and I'm not going to belabor this point. It's because you run into situations like this that the next individual, it will turn into, no, this is the quote, you have to pay, and you would have to pay this price. If you're just joining me, it is now 6:56. I'm glad to be here. This is trustee Adam Winston. Adam Winston on Mondays. I'm just Adam Winston. I'm no one else. I'm just a guy in the community trying to do some good in his neighborhood. We are featuring, we're going to continue on this quest to make and bring more awareness about Black businesses. August is Black Business Awareness Month. I don't know how many, up until recently, I'm going to be honest, I didn't even recognize or know that there was a month that was, we know that we have Black History Month, right? But you really don't hear, did you know before now, Michelle, about Black Awareness Month? Or did you know that
No.
that August was supposed to be the month that we celebrate?
No, I did not.
And see, and I don't think a lot of people know. And for some reason, we just don't do enough, in my humble opinion, to make certain that people know that it is Black Awareness Month. I mean, there's a lot of people out there with businesses, myself included, people selling Mary Kay, people with the food shop, or people doing this, doing that, yada, yada, yada. And this is just a way to try to highlight it. I normally stay in the community space anyway. So our guests today are from the community, from different parts of the community too. And I'm looking forward to learning. Last week was very enlightening to hear about all of the businesses that were on, the two people that we featured last week. And today we're going to be featuring Dr. Tinsley. I think you're here, right, Dr. Tinsley? I can see your face right now. You got that $1 million smile and look on there. And I got some questions here because as we age, doctor, okay,
Gotcha.
I'm still a young man, but I don't want to work out. I want to get those ripples, I want to get them all in there with the, I don't know if men are doing this, Michelle, but I'm interested. So I am so looking forward to your conversation. We got a couple more minutes. So really at the beginning of the show, Dr. Tinsley, we just shoot the breeze a little bit. If you are out there, we are streaming on Facebook. We are streaming on YouTube. So if it's something that you really don't want to, I know I've had people in here, I didn't know you were streaming. Yes, we are streaming because the goal is to make certain as many people know about Tea and Conversation and about our guests services and so on and so forth. So it isn't to try to catch you up. If you wouldn't say it on, you shouldn't be saying it probably anyway. Right, Dr. Tinsley?
Absolutely. I agree with you.
That's how I roll. Anything I say, I probably would tell you in your face. So I am excited. It is 6:59. Dr. Tinsley, it is 6:59. I don't care. I always start talking and you can jump in. This is a casual conversation. You had quite a few questions for me prior to the show, and I'm glad that you asked those particular questions. But this is one of these platforms where it's going to be people who are probably going to be popping in questions over here on Facebook. So if you see me looking here, I got multiple screens. I take their questions. I try to, because they may not come here. Not everybody's like you and I, but we want our faces to be seen. Some people just want to ask the question and just have their voices behind there. But Dr. Tinsley, welcome to Tea and Conversation. How are you today?
I'm doing great. Should I call you Adam, Mr. Winston, Mr. Trustee?
Adam is, listen, my friends call me Adam, and I definitely consider you a friend. I'm so glad that you're here. So I consider you a friend. Yes, you can call me Adam. I happen to be in a very unique situation. I have two last names, Adam Winston, so those are so you can, either way it goes, it sounds like a last name. Okay, enough about me.
Yeah, okay.
Tell us about you. So the most interesting thing, let me just tell you, when I start looking you up, okay, what was interesting for me, okay, was the fact that you're out of all of the interesting things, okay, because it's more, but you're in Tinsley, you're in Tinley Park. Am I correct?
Orland Park.
Orland Park, Orland Park. Because I thought I was gonna have to go to Brazil to find somebody that looked like me to do this. Okay.
Well, I've been in business now 30 plus years, and I've only been in Orland about 5. So
Okay.
in the city of Chicago for the majority of my career, and now
Okay,
I'm just a little
fantastic.
closer to home. Yeah.
So tell our guests, you are. Go ahead. I'm interested because I got a lot of questions.
Okay. So I am a native Chicagoan. I grew up on the south side of Chicago. I've been the only Black plastic surgeon in private practice for several decades. We do have a couple of brothers now at some of the universities. My practice is actually 2 separate businesses. One business dedicated to surgery and the other business dedicated to Black skin. And
Okay.
we actually recently partnered with the Black Skin Institute. So we expect some exciting things to come out, now that I have a support in marketing and advertising and all those good things to get the message out about the care of Black skin in particular. I lost your audio.
I'm sorry, I hit the button. But when you say Black skin, and I'm really, really big on this, and I have 2 sons, I have 2 daughters. One of the things that I've done, especially with my 2 sons, who don't seem to understand the importance of skincare, right? Men especially, and it's not just Black kids. We don't always think we need sunscreen. We don't always think that we need to do more in terms of the of intentionally using certain types of products on our skin. I remember a couple of years ago, I don't know, Vanessa Williams had, I don't even know that chemical she was using, but it seemed to be very popular. What was that chemical? It was that Vanessa Williams. Proactive. And she seemed to be going after, that may be more than a couple of years ago, because I think I was a teenager and she was my adult crush, but another story there. But she was one of the first people that I know that was coming out with a skincare line specifically for people with pigment in their skin. Is this, I mean, are you finding in your practice now more of us are paying more attention? Is it more men like me in our early 50s that are looking for, that youthful edge, Doc?
Okay, so you really asked several questions. And
Okay.
You brought up several different topics. Okay, so let's just talk about Black skin in general.
Okay.
Okay, number 1, Black skin is very sensitive to inflammation. Okay. And Black skin is very sensitive to dehydration.
Okay.
So any regimen that's going to support Black skin specifically has to be anti-inflammatory, right? And hydrating.
Okay.
All right. So our philosophy is you can't not possibly have flawless, beautiful skin unless you first have healthy skin. Does that make sense?
Yes.
All right. Step 1 is healthy skin. Well, you don't get healthy skin from a fancy doctor and expensive product. All right. Healthy skin starts on the inside.
Okay. I thought I could just buy it.
Oh no. Step number 1. Well, that's another subject. The difference between treatment and cure. I'm talking about cure.
Okay.
Okay. Step number 1, you have to drink your water. You just have to. The average adult needs 64 ounces of water a day. That's step number 1. Okay. There's no getting around getting your water. Step number 2, believe it or not, the condition of the colon has a lot to do with the condition of the skin.
Okay.
Are you with me?
Yes.
Okay. So a clean colon and a dirty diet is much better than a clean diet and a dirty colon.
So let me just make sure I understand this, Dr. Tinsley. Okay. My colon has something to do with my skin.
That is correct.
Okay, I can see that, right? Because our largest organ is the skin, right?
That's correct.
So if we're not taking care of the skin, more than likely our organs are not being taken care of.
Well, not exactly.
If we're
Okay. No, everybody talks about the importance of antioxidants, right?
Yeah.
Have you heard about antioxidants?
Yes.
If this package has antioxidants and the one next to it doesn't, you're going to buy the one with antioxidants, right?
Yes.
So everybody realizes the importance of antioxidants, but ask the average person what an oxidant is. They don't know. All they know is they want to be anti whatever that is.
Right.
All right. Oxidants are inflammatory mediators, and the largest storage container of oxidants in your human body is sitting in your colon.
Wow.
Exactly. Exactly.
Mm.
So just take a step back, talk about Black women. Black women have the highest rate of constipation in the country. Nobody ever talks about this, but if you ask a Black woman, how many bowel movements do you have a week? You'd be amazed at how many will say 3 or 4. Absolutely amazed. Men and women who live together, eat the same diet. The man would be more frequent than the woman, assuming they're both Black.
So why is that? Is that because they're holding it?
No, it's because genetically, right? When women go through puberty, this is when it starts, around the age of 12 to 15. All right. Prior to that, they tend to function well. You know, if you have a dog, if in one end, out the other. You have an infant, in one end, out the other. When Black women go through puberty and their body switches from childhood to adulthood, which is controlled by their DNA, that's when you get your family hips, your family breasts, your family shape, and so forth. That's controlled by the DNA. Well, your DNA doesn't know anything about that long boat trip from over there to over here. Your DNA is expecting a West African diet, not an American diet.
Yeah.
So this constipation that we see in Black women is a mild form of rejection of the American diet. Okay. So what are the symptoms of that? Irritability, not sleeping well, low energy, and adult skin issues.
Okay.
Can directly relate from inadequate eliminations. Okay. Step 1 is water. Step 2, we get a history about your colon. The simple question is, how many bowel movements do you have a week? Well, if you have in 3, there's no product on the planet Earth that's going to clear your skin.
Wow.
Make sense?
Yes.
Right. So we have a total body detox system for people that actually need that. 1 is water, 2 is colon, 3 is products. Notice products is not until number 3 on the flawless protocol. Most doctors and beauty supply houses that you visit, and you say, I have this issue, they want to give you a bunch of products, right? That's what we call treatment. I'm not interested in treatment. I'm interested in cure. Are you with me?
Okay. Yes.
Water, colon, products, and then services. All right. So that's when we start talking about things like facials, right? Exfoliating, microdermabrasion, chemical peels, anti-aging treatments, and serums. But in that order, number 1 is water. Got to get your water. There's no getting around it. Number 2, the condition of the colon directly impacts the condition of the skin. Number 3, products, and number 4, services. And those are the 4 steps in the Flawless Skin Protocol. The name of the company is Flawless, by the way.
Flawless. And where can, I mean, so is that product already on the shelves?
Yes, it is. Well,
Okay.
it's available online at drtinsley.com in our online store.
Okay.
And we also ship it around the country.
Okay. And okay, so that's good. You just kind of jumped into here because really I was hoping that you would tell your stories, but I'm so glad because again, I am big on skincare, especially with my sons. I don't buy the cheaper soap. I used to be just zesting them clean. You're not fully clean until your zest fully clean. I just go get them my Irish Spring Bar, one of those. But now I'm paying much more attention. And skincare is one of those areas, and I'm on them all the time. Look, do not use the towel and rub off all of the stuff off your arm. Let's lotion while you're a little bit damp so that you can kind of keep that skin hydrated. Michelle, you had your hand up. Go ahead.
Hi, Dr. Tinsley. Why do you think it is that this our diet affects the Black women more than it does Black men?
Okay, so remember I said this issue starts during puberty. So puberty is genetically controlled by DNA. So the Black woman's heritage and the white woman's heritage is different, correct? So let's take white women out of the picture.
Right.
Now we have a female going through puberty and a male going through puberty. Both are driven by DNA.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the male puberty is different from the female puberty. So let's take men off the table, and that leaves African-American women standing alone with this problem. They have the highest rate of constipation in the country.
No, I understand that, but I guess my question is, as you said, it comes from the DNA. So our body is not expecting an American diet, it's expecting a West African diet.
That's correct.
And Black men, their body should be expecting a West African diet as well.
Right, but why are Black men more resistant? I don't know. I just know that this problem starts during puberty. If you look at the typical medical history, it'll ask, do you have chronic constipation? And a Black woman will say no. But then you say, how many bowel movements do you have a week? She'll say 4. Since she's been having 4 bowel movements since she was 15, 25, 35, you finally ask her
She
at
sees that as
45.
normal.
Exactly. She considers it as normal for her. So that's why you have to specifically ask the question, not constipation. How many bowel movements do you have a week?
So
And
let
you're
me,
absolutely right, Michelle.
so Doc, let me ask you, because that's very, this is taking me down another journey. Michelle, don't you go nowhere, because I want to pick up on what you were talking about. But I was reading some book called Eat for Your Blood Type. I don't remember the writer, the author. I think it's an older book, so it's not something that's new. And it's certain foods that it told me that I should stay away from based on my blood type. Is some of it a lack of us understanding? How many people know their blood type, for starters, right?
That's correct.
Because when I was reading this book, I had to go back to my doctor and ask them, well, what is my blood type? Does it start with us understanding that some of these foods just aren't really native to us, and we've been eating them over the years, and that's probably why we're having some of these issues?
Okay, so you're trying to move the conversation from the grocery aisle to the molecules, okay? So we're talking about everything from DNA to fruits, vegetables, pork, and beef.
Yeah.
All right, so there's a huge area in between there, and somewhere in the middle there is blood type.
Yeah.
Okay, and blood type is independent of race, but it's still under genetic influence. Ultimately, your genetic map determines previously what's best for you and what you're going to be at risk for. Okay. So in the Black community, for example, we have an extremely high rate of hypertension and diabetes.
Yes.
And some people equate that with the American diet.
Whew, that's a lot. I mean, how did you get here? Okay, so I mean, and initially, this is, like I said, I'd like to have you on just to talk about some of the. I don't know if you heard of Karen. Have you heard of Karen?
Yeah.
Karen
Whole
she now
Foods, yeah.
has a facilities. Yeah, she has
Raw
this,
foods.
yes, she does all that raw food. She has a facility. She was on here not too long ago. I would have loved to have had both of y'all on together, because I think that she would have probably. You two probably would have just opened my mind. My head probably would be spinning around.
So 30 years ago, when Karen was trying to tell us about raw foods, and I was preaching about the importance of water. Well, fast forward now, everybody's all of a sudden starting to get it.
Yes.
You got more people taking probiotics. The beverage companies, the huge corporations have moved away from Coke and Pepsi to manufacturing more water than pop.
Yes.
When I was a kid, water was free. Now it's $1.29.
Yes, you're
Somebody
right.
tried to charge you $1 for water in the 60s. You would have called
it wouldn't have worked.
Exactly.
It wouldn't have worked.
As a society, we're beginning to realize the value of these things that Karen and I have been talking about for years.
Yes.
She was on the raw food. I was on the importance of water. There's nothing more potent as an anti-aging product than water, period. Nothing.
Yeah. So Dr. Tinsley, and again, thank you for joining us here on Tea and Conversation. How did you get to where you are? Like you said, initially you started off, you're a plastic surgeon. How did you get to this? I mean, you went to college, you said, oh, I'm gonna be a plastic surgeon. How did you get here?
No. When I went to med school, I thought I wanted to be a pediatrician. I'm as far from pediatrics as you could possibly be.
You ain't kidding. Okay.
So initially I was a general surgeon. And from general surgery, I went to trauma surgery. From trauma surgery, I went to burn surgery.
Wow.
Burn surgery, that's when I started studying scars. Because
Yes.
it was obvious from trauma. White guy gets stabbed, black guy gets stabbed. A year later, the white guy barely has a visible scar and the black guy has a keloid. So there's a difference in response, and what's controlling that response? Why do we scar so badly? Why do we get dark spots from our pimples? All right. So then I started doing black skin research, specifically working in the keloid clinic, which is one of the most harmful skin conditions that is common in black folks.
Yes.
I accidentally learned a lot about normal black skin in the process of studying abnormal black skin. And I knew I was onto something when the dermatologist referred a patient to me. Okay, right. They had cleared up the eczema, but the person was left with dark discoloration. I can get rid of the dark discoloration. So general surgery, trauma surgery, burn surgery. One night I was on call for burns, and a patient was in a terrible accident.
Okay.
And they had a 30% total body surface area burn, broken bones, and internal bleeding. Me and this military surgeon removed the guy's spleen, did a splenectomy, admitted him to the burn unit, skin grafted him, and a few days later put plates and screws in his ankle fracture.
Okay.
That, as a young surgeon, that just impressed me. I'm like, this is what I want to do. Reconstruction. I want to do reconstruction. So that's why I got into plastic surgery.
Okay.
And that facilitated my research in Black skin. Through getting grants at the University of Chicago, I was able to further my research. Well, when I graduated from plastic surgery and I came out here, keep in mind, general surgery, trauma surgery, burn surgery, Black skin research. When I came out here, opening my office on 95th and Damon, Black folks didn't want none of that. You know what they wanted? They wanted liposuction, breast augmentation. I literally quit my practice after 6 months and went back and did a fellowship in aesthetic surgery in African-American women.
I still want liposuction, so I mean, don't go nowhere with that. Okay.
No problem.
And I'm not a Black woman, by the way, but have you seen over the or through your career, because just your story alone, you've seen many changes in what each individual respective person needs. I'm going to go there, Michelle. Are you finding more men looking for a little shape up here and there?
Absolutely. But statistically, it's still 99% women. I saw a man today, as a matter of fact.
Right. So if I were to come there to see you, you wouldn't be like, well, why are you here?
No, not at all.
Oh, good.
Not at all.
So I see so much, sir. Go ahead, Doc. Go ahead. What were you ready to say?
The female tummy and the male pot belly is two very different things. It's a lot easier to help women than it is to help men. Yes.
So this may not be any hope for me.
I have to examine you, but it's a possibility. There's internal fat and there's external fat. Liposuction treats external fat. Male pot bellies tend to be internal fat, which cannot be treated by liposuction.
So what about this? What about this? So I was, and I just happened to be looking at some stuff online. I was doing research for the show, Doc, and about 6 months ago, and they had this lady who I contacted was talking about freeze the fat. It's the freeze the fat. What is that?
What is that? That's a financial donation.
She said, okay, you just freeze it and it just melts off and it just comes out in your stools.
Okay, so there are various procedures and each procedure has an indication, right? Let's just say the indications for these fat procedures are related to your BMI. If your BMI is like in a 18, 19, 20 range, you can do some of this cool sculpting and these cute little techniques, right? But if your BMI is over 21, save your money.
Save your money. So if so that little machine that I buy on Amazon for $400 ain't gonna do nothing.
Well, it depends on what your BMI is.
We're not gonna put that on. We're not gonna put that on live right now. Okay.
So when we do our virtual consults online, one of the first questions we ask is height and weight. Then we calculate the BMI.
Yeah.
You know, actually, if you have a way for me to share a file,
I can give you access. I mean, to share. Let me see. Do I one part? You should be able to share.
So can you see that?
No, don't see it yet.
Okay, so.
You sharing your screen?
Yeah, but you don't see it.
Here, I'm gonna make you the host for a moment, okay?
Okay. Share screen. Host disabled participant screen sharing.
Okay, so let me do this because I may have done. Oh, I see what I did. Share whiteboard. Okay, can you see if you can do it now?
Okay. Share screen. Okay, there we go.
Don't see anything yet.
No, hold on. Share.
There we are.
Winston.
I see it. I see your screen, Doc.
All right, so we're going to talk about the skincare first. So you see a before and after.
Yep.
Okay, and you see the 4 steps in the flawless protocol. Number 1 is water. Number 2, conditioner to colon. Number 3, products, and number 4, services.
So how much water is that, Doc? How much water to get it from that young lady to have her skin from one way? How much water does she have to drink?
64 ounces a day. So just like Grandma said, 8 8-ounce glasses. Today, that's 4 bottles, 64 ounces.
Okay.
Okay. Same thing here. We talk about adult acne. You see the before picture?
Jeez.
Wait a minute. Bam.
That's good.
Right. Now notice, not only have we suppressed the acne, we've eliminated the dark spots from previous pimples and improved the overall condition of the skin. To me, this is the obvious difference between treatment and cure. 99% of what's going on out there is treatment. What we do here at Flawless is cure.
Okay.
Okay. What was the other topic you want to talk about?
Plastic surgery. Okay. So what makes a can? I mean, when do you and how do you determine if an individual should do the surgery compared to the treatment? How do you decide? How is that decided?
Okay. First of all, nobody needs liposuction. Okay?
No.
No. Nobody needs liposuction. So it's a luxury item. What
about Botox?
It's a preference. Nobody needs Botox. All right. It's what you want. Okay. It's what you want. If a person wants to remove some excess fat, then obviously they have to be healthy. Okay. They have to have an acceptable BMI. And we can look at that real quick because BMI affects your expectations. So here's a slide. So you got a lady that's a BMI of 24 before and after, right? You got a lady that's 31 before and after, and you have a lady that's 34 before and after. So the point is you can't come in like a BMI of 34 with 1 session of liposuction and think you're going to leave like a BMI of 24. It doesn't work that way. So the expectations are related to what we have to work with in presentation.
Yeah.
Number 1 is condition. Condition is actually more important than age. Okay. We recently did a couple of 70-plus-year-old mommy makeovers, and they're looking good.
Do you have those? 74. Do you have those makeovers?
Do I have any makeovers here to show?
No. Do you have some of those the 70-year-olds?
Not in this presentation. Yep, but they're on my Facebook page.
Okay. Okay.
But I do have a makeover to share with you. So that's the same lady before. And it took 2 years to get her from point A to the last picture.
Wow, that is that's night and day, Doc.
It's 2 years. I mean, that's multiple procedures, and she lost weight.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And so, do you follow back up with them? Do you, after? I mean, so you said that's 2 years. That would be what? How many years ago? Do you follow back up to see how that they put it back on? Is her issue, this particular person, was this just an eating issue? Was this the stomach staple? What was this?
Well, most of this is basically called postpartum weight gain. And she had, I believe, 5 children.
Okay.
And, the metabolism slows down as we age. So it's not just diet and exercise. It's 3 things. It's diet, exercise, and metabolism. If your metabolism slows down, you can eat less and still gain weight. I think sometimes we're too hard on these women who've had children because it's not that easy.
Yes.
So if your metabolism is sluggish, it's going to be very difficult. So we're fortunate enough to have a nurse practitioner that runs our weight loss program that works with people. So if your BMI is too high for liposuction, then she'll help you lose weight and get you ready for the procedure. In terms of follow-up, she had multiple procedures over time. You cannot accomplish this in one procedure. So this was a combination of procedures. She had liposuction twice. She had a tummy tuck. She had a breast reduction and lift. She had a thigh lift. And her last procedure was a butt lift.
So I know that I've had individuals, especially some of the women with heavier chests, complain that they need a reduction because it causes back issues. Is that real?
But notice the key word. You said need. If you have back pain due to the size weight of your breast, you need a breast reduction. That is a different category, and that's covered by insurance. That's not considered cosmetic. That's a very important distinction. As a matter of fact, a lot of women don't know this, and it's important to get the word out. There's something called the Schnur equation. Insurance companies are mandated by Congress. All forms of insurance, all forms, Aetna, Cigna, Medicare, Medicaid, everybody is mandated by Congress that if you apply the Schnur equation, and this shows that breast reduction is indicated, every insurance company is obligated to cover it. A lot of women get denied because they don't know how to apply, and their primary care physicians don't know how to apply. And I always thought that was very unfair. The primary care physician should not be the one seeking pre-authorization for surgery. The surgeon should be the one seeking pre-authorization for surgery. I don't do breast reductions anymore. I used to do a lot early in my career, but I do second opinions to help women get authorized for breast reductions. Am I making sense?
It is making sense. I have a question here. His girlfriend had a breast reduction and she lost, her nipples fell off. Is that normal?
It can happen, and you can lose sensation. The bigger the breast, the higher the risk of losing the nipple. All right, so everybody's familiar with the double D's, but there are women out here with H's, K's, L breasts, nipples at their belt line. Absolutely. So the distance that they have to get that breast back up to the chest increases the risk to the nipple. So yes, there's a risk of losing sensation, and there's also a risk of losing the actual nipple.
And I'm going to ask this question: do they actually, when that nipple falls off, does it come back, or is it?
If you lose it, they just have to make another one.
Okay, Doc, you can't just leave that. Doc, you can't just leave that there. Okay, you can't just drop the mic, Doc. What do you mean?
Okay, so there are plastic surgeons, and there's another category called cosmetic surgeons. All right. Plastic surgeons are plastic and reconstructive surgeons. So if your breast reduction is done by a plastic surgeon and you lose your nipple, he will make a nipple for you just like he would for a woman with breast cancer who has no nipple.
So when that falls off, it just doesn't grow back like a tooth?
Teeth don't grow back.
Well, you get one set and then you grow the second one. One nipple falls off, you grow another one.
No, man, come on. No. Michelle gonna take your mic.
Hey, Michelle, what other question you have for the doctor here, Michelle?
I actually don't have any questions for the doctor. Actually, I do have one question. I take that back. So when you were talking about skin and what those before and afters that you showed were remarkable, I'm lucky enough to not have terrible skin, although my skin could be better, and I do drink water. But I am starting to notice like dark spots like under my eyes.
Okay.
And I don't think it has to, well, I mean, it could have to do with my colon. I have no idea, but I would think that I would have dark spots other than just around my eyes. I feel like that's something different.
It is something different. Let me ask you a question. You say you're good with your water.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any problems with your sinuses?
Yes.
Okay. So whenever you have dark discoloration and black skin, look for the source of inflammation. Okay. So in these people with acne and they have their dark spots, the source of inflammation is the acne pimple. The condition is called PIP, post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation. Post-inflammatory, something caused inflammation, hyperpigmentation. That something went away and left dark discoloration behind. So the sinuses under the eyes are the most common cause of dark eyes in blacks. In whites is broken blood vessels. In blacks is problems with the sinuses.
Wow. I definitely
look for the source of inflammation when you're dealing with black skin. So in your case, I would recommend something called Asian ear candling. Have you heard of that?
I've heard of ear candling. I can't
Yes.
necessarily say it was Asian, but I've
What
heard
is
of
that?
it.
What is there?
So they put a hollow candle in your ear and they light it on fire. It doesn't drip wax or anything, and they hold it with their hands, so there's no risk of really getting burned. But what it does is it creates a vacuum, and all of the passages of the skull and face are interconnected, and it pulls the debris out of your passages into the candle in your ear. First, the smoke is black, then it's gray, then it's white, then it's wispy, then they put it out. Ask them to open the candle. They'll cut it open and open the candle and show you what came out of your passages. And most
Wow.
people feel stuff moving. I remember I
Mhm.
filmed this one time and a lady was kind of making noise. And she said, Dr. Tinsley, I can feel something moving up my throat. Stuff doesn't move up your throat. Stuff moves down your throat. So she could actually feel it pulling. Yep.
And what's that called again, doctor?
Ear candling.
Ear candling.
Yeah, initially it originated, over 1,000 years ago in Asia. So some people call it Asian ear candling, but just ear candling. And it's offered at like many spas. You'd be surprised. It's easy to find around the country.
Right.
It's pretty matter of fact, some health food stores actually sell the candles, but I wouldn't recommend doing it myself by myself.
Right.
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 Especially with my perm, it would probably. So you
Thank
said.
you.
You're welcome.
So you started
Michelle,
off.
are you on Facebook?
Yes, I am.
You can inbox me, a private conversation, and I can work with you.
Okay, thank you.
So you said you started off. So you started off in Chicago. You grew up in this particular area. Where did you go to high school? What was your? I mean, I know that you kind of jumped full speed ahead into the career portion of it and so on and so forth. But I mean, was this something that you've always known that, hey, I want to be a doctor? What would your advice be for someone out here listening that is interested in maybe doing something like what you're doing?
To be honest with you, growing up, I remember the day I was standing on the corner, 87th and Paulina, looking at the basketball court and thinking to myself, the odds of me becoming a doctor was unlikely.
Yeah.
And I ended up going to a seminary to become a priest for high school. While I was in the seminary, I excelled so greatly in science and math, I started to believe I could become a doctor. And then when I went to college, it was the first time in my life I got straight A's. And the rest is history.
Wow.
Do you remember Silas Purnell?
No, I don't.
He was very prominent in the Black community in the 60s and 70s in helping parents navigate the system to get their kids into college. And he was in Cabrini Green, actually, on the lower level. And you would go in there and have a session with Cyrus, and he would tell you how to apply for college, how to apply for grants and student loans and that sort of thing. And that's really, that's a part of my story.
Wow. Woo. So I need to get back over here because I'm gonna start drinking water. Bring me that gallon of water over here. Because
It's a half a gallon, by the way.
A half a gallon. Bring me the half a
Half a
gallon.
gallon.
And actually, if they would, as many bottles as they have laying around the house, I probably would have some water to drink to get some of these dark spots under my. I don't know if those are dark spots or is that just my skin complexion. But in any event, I feel like I do drink a lot of water. I suffered from acne when I was a younger person, and now it seems like I've kind of gotten a little bit more under control. My skin still isn't as good as I'd like it to be. I'd like to get rid of some of those bags up under my eyes as well. But I'm now that you're telling me that I'm probably not a good candidate for surgery. I guess there's no hope.
I never said that. I never said that. I said I'd have to examine you. So in terms of uneven skin tone, there's some products for that. We have a cleanser and a compound used once a day, every day at nighttime, will even your skin tone.
Okay, so like here, I have two different tones, and I've always had these two different tones. I mean, is that common in the African American community?
Okay, that's more than one topic. The first topic you brought up, teen acne and adult acne is not the same thing.
True.
All right. So you had teen acne, but you don't have adult
acne. No.
Exactly. There's a condition called 5AW, adult active acne in African American women. Now, this is women. I know you're not a woman. And the most common cause, what would you think the most common cause is?
Hormonal.
Michelle, what would you think the most common cause is?
Diet.
Okay. The most common cause? Constipation.
Wow.
Number one. Okay, 5AW, right? Water, in addition to the colon. Every Black woman, ask them those two questions, you'd be amazed how many people you can help. Amazed. Yeah, so
Wow.
we use a flawless line of products. And here's our most popular product, which is the cleanser. Yeah, I recommend you start that at nighttime. I don't know if we can catch it on the screen.
Yeah, hold it there for a minute. If you're just joining, we are live with Dr. Tinsley. He is talking about his flawless skincare products. He's also a surgeon, a plastic surgeon. So join the conversation if you have additional questions. I see a few of you out there. Before I will make certain that you get your questions in if you have any questions for him, because we don't get this opportunity to be able to have the one-on-one with the surgeon. I feel like I'm having my own consultation with the surgeon tonight. So Doc, you said that those were two different things, but I'm talking about as a grown-up, I noticed that I have, and this is not from a suntan, I have this discoloration where I'm darker here. Of course, I'm darker on my arms because of the sun.
Do you shave here?
I'm not a shaver. I really don't shave. I don't really grow hair.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I mean, is there treatment for that as well?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Remember, it doesn't really matter. Step 1 is water, step 2 is colon, step 3 is product, step 4 is services. Always in that order, and you'll get a great result. Always in that order.
Okay.
Right? So the products that she needs may not be the products that you need.
Right.
Exactly. To accomplish your goal. But based on what I see, it's very mild, but you do have a shadow, and it's not from shaving. So I would recommend the Flawless Cleansing Souffle and the Flawless Compound at nighttime.
Is that like a calming cream?
Well, the cleanser is anti-inflammatory, but it's such an effective cleanser. It removes everything, makes your skin squeaky clean, removes the debris from the day. It also removes the normal oil that the skin produces, so the compound can get in. The compound doesn't work on the skin. The compound actually works in the skin to manipulate the melanocytes that actually make the color.
Okay.
We got science in this jar. We're not playing.
It sounds like that. And Doc, I mean, I'm gonna have to bring out the big credit card for those products.
Well, no, this cleanser makes an incredible lather. It lasts me about 6 months. It lasts most women about 4 months. I think they use too much, but you'd be impressed with how much lather it makes, and it's $30.
Okay.
Yes. So no.
So it's affordable. So everyone can everyone can be. So I noticed another trend. I mean, since we're talking about skincare, I noticed another trend. A lot of women now are using what my father used to have in his medicine cabinet, which was magic shaving cream. What is this? What is this? Which is sorcery?
I wouldn't call it sorcery.
Okay.
People are doing the best they can based on the information that they have available. The biggest problem and the biggest challenge to healthcare today is the internet.
So the Kardashians was doing it, so now they're doing it.
No, what I'm saying is that a little bit of knowledge is dangerous. Just because it was great for Susie doesn't mean it's made for Mary. It just doesn't work that way. You know, a patient comes in for liposuction or butt lift, and they bring me a picture of somebody else. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't think that to be honest with you, I don't think that most people give it that deep of a thought. You know, all we say is, hey, I know I want a body that looks like this. We don't necessarily think about how you get a body that looks like that. Even, you know, everybody wants that microwave body, right? Where you just come in, doc cuts a little bit here, trims a little bit there, puts it someplace else, and then by Christmas time, I'm ready to go. We don't realize that it is a process. You just showed the lady that she was doing this for 2 years. You said, trying to get herself sculpted. Yeah.
Well, you know,
I didn't think about it.
First of all, condition is more important than age. What is your condition? One population, I call them the postpartum women, eat right, exercise, are frustrated because they know they're doing everything right, and they still have this little pooch. I love helping those people. I love it. I love it. I love helping those people. Their BMI is reasonable. They're healthy. Otherwise, they just have an isolated fat deposit that's frustrating. Okay, so we're not talking about obesity. We're not talking about using liposuction for weight loss. It's purely for contouring. And those are people that get the greatest and most satisfying results.
Okay. So the people who don't need any cosmetic surgery are the ones that are the best candidates?
Repeat that?
So really, the ones who don't really need it the most are kind of the best candidates for a little.
That's a judgment call because you're using the word need. Remember, I said nobody needs this.
Oh, right. Okay,
Right.
I got it now.
Right. So,
So those who don't have to. Okay, how do I rephrase it, Doc? Okay.
okay. So the lady here in the after picture, all right. You can see the muscle, the left and right rectus muscles, right?
Yeah.
I did the liposuction. I didn't build the muscle. She built the muscle. In many cases, liposuction doesn't create curves. It reveals curves. Okay. So if you were curvaceous in your 20s and you now have a couple of kids and you're in your 40s and you're built with a curve underneath, liposuction will expose that curve. Now follow that. I said it doesn't create curves. It reveals curves.
So if I didn't have a 40 ounce, I mean, if I got a 40 ounce now, but I didn't have a 6-pack back then, I'm still gonna have a 40 ounce after the.
No, if you got a 40 ounce that's hiding a 6-pack and I remove the 40 ounce, you'll see the 6-pack like this lady right here. So she's been exercising, but she couldn't see the benefit. Am I making sense?
Yeah. And liposuction, how invasive is that? Does that require a lot of downtime or?
No, it's considered to be minimally invasive. So it's not non-invasive, it's minimally invasive. Procedure on Friday, follow up on Monday, go back to work on Tuesday. With the technique that we use, we never use drains. The overwhelming majority of liposuction today, people are using drains. We never use drains. So our recovery is very different.
Okay.
We get you back to work.
Right. So 4 days total, and I may be able to see my abs, huh?
Well, not on the 4th day. You're going to be swollen and bruised. And that takes a while. You have to wear a special compression garment for at least 6 weeks.
Okay. Any internal scarring I would need to worry about?
When you say internal, so we're removing fat. All right. So yes, every surgery leaves some sort of scar, but it's not visible.
Okay.
There's no visible scars. It's probably the right answer.
Okay. If you're just joining, we are here with Dr. Tinsley. He is our special guest here on TN Conversation. I am so glad because I'm asking a lot of questions that I'm interested in because I've actually had him on the speed dial, just didn't have the courage to give him a call, but I guess I'll do it now, Doc, at some particular point. If you have additional questions, I mean, we only got them for a little bit more time. Please make sure that you get your questions in. I see Trustee Matt is on the line. Too noisy. Okay, so if you have your question, just post it in the chat and I will make certain that I ask the doc that particular question. So in terms of your skincare products, they're specifically for African Americans or people with color?
No, they're specifically for adult skin and
Adult
formulated
skin.
with African Americans in mind. So hydrating and anti-inflammatory, those are the keys to having a product that's going to fulfill and satisfy Black skin. Got to be anti-inflammatory. Black skin is very sensitive to inflammation. Remember, we talked earlier with someone that had issues with their sinuses. Now they have dark circles under the eyes. That's due to the sensitivity of the underlying inflammation. The dark spot from acne pimple, that's sensitivity to the inflammation. Black skin doesn't care what causes the inflammation. It's how Black skin responds to the inflammation. If you let the wound heal, the inflammation resolve, and the color come back in Black folks, it'll heal with a dark spot. So anytime I see dark discoloration of any kind, I look for the source of inflammation.
Okay.
And it makes
Are
a
your
difference.
products only available through your practice or can they be just ordered online or how
Can
do
be
you
ordered
get them?
online. Yeah, we ship.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you give your web address so that people will know,
Yeah.
they can get it?
If you
So,
can write it in
sorry.
that box, that would be good. And I think that Trustee Matz, how do you minimize from surgery? What is it? Keloids?
Keloids.
Keloids. Oh, you just talked about keloids.
Right.
Yes. So how do you minimize that? And are those you mentioned that that's a good question she brought up. Why does that seem more exclusive to African Americans?
Okay, so there's a direct correlation between your ethnic complexion, not your personal complexion, your ethnic complexion and your sensitivity to inflammation, which causes keloids. So the people who are the most sensitive to inflammation have the higher incidence of keloids. The people that have the least sensitivity to inflammation have the lowest incidence of keloids. It's a direct relationship between your ethnic complexion and the incidence of keloids. Okay, so the highest incidence on the planet is Nigeria. The lowest incidence on the planet is Sweden. This is so true that the Japanese in Hawaii have a slightly higher incidence of keloids than the Chinese in Hawaii because they're slightly darker. Okay, so sensitivity to inflammation, risk for keloid formation. No inflammation, no keloid. So the question was, how do you reduce keloid formation following surgery? Step number one, does the person have a history of forming keloids? If they have no prior history of forming keloids, our techniques are anti-inflammatory to begin with. If they do have a history of keloids, you have to decide what type of keloid they have. Do they have a systemic keloid or a inflammatory keloid? A systemic keloid, 100% every single scar on the body forms a keloid. They should not have cosmetic surgery, period. Okay, but I've never met anybody born in this country with that condition.
Is there a way to tell? How would you know if you have that before you have surgery?
History. Everybody's gotten a scrape and a scratch in their lifetime.
Oh, right.
Right. Everybody. Right. So if your ears are pierced and you have a keloid from a hysterectomy, you have inflammatory keloids. You don't have systemic because you would have keloids on both your ears if you did. Make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
So so Doc, when I see some of the people with that lobe on it, that's considered a keloid?
And keloid, the most common location is earlobe. That's correct.
Wow. Interesting. I you know what? That's interesting. I've never had one of those, but I only see them on African Americans. I just thought it was.
But the tendency is inherited, and the higher incidence is in the darker complexion. Your ethnic complexion, not your personal complexion.
Okay.
Because within families with the same mother and same father, we can all be different complexions.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Mm. So okay. So that hopefully that answers. Hopefully she got that. So you minimize it by looking at the history, understanding
avoiding inflammation. Like
Yeah.
for example, a lot of Black women, their earlobes are dark. They don't have a keloid, but their earlobes are dark. Okay. Or they have dark circles under their breasts, and they think it's from the sweating. It's really the nickel in the underwire. The dark discoloration on the earlobes is from the nickel in jewelry. So if you have a sensitivity to nickel, you have a higher risk of getting a keloid. But these are the things that experts or doctors should be looking for when talking about doing a cosmetic procedure.
So that's now you've made me think about another question. I know that I've had some sensitivity to all metals, right? Whether it's a watch on my arm, whether it's my belt buckle, if it touches my skin, I end up itching, right? What should I understand about that?
Okay, so you can only apply high quality metals to your body. All jewelry is precious metal and heavy metal. As the precious metal concentration goes up, the heavy metal concentration goes down. The heavy metals that are used in the industry are nickel, chromium, and zinc, and Black skin is sensitive to nickel. So the cheaper it is, the more nickel it is. So you need to be sterling silver, 24 karat gold, platinum.
All the stuff I can't afford, Doc. All the stuff I can't afford.
In contact with your skin, yes.
Yes, because it happens on my watch. If I put my watch on, it itches. The little buckle that holds the watch.
Plastic, yep.
Yeah, I normally wear an undershirt underneath so that I could tuck it in so that belt buckle does not touch my skin at all.
It's the nickel.
But I break out from any metal, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't. I've even bought. I thought that surgery steel was supposed. What did they call that, Dog? What they
surgical
call it?
Stainless steel.
Yeah, I thought that was supposed to be stuff that doesn't break me out.
Well, if it breaks you out, you already know. I mean,
Yeah,
yes.
it breaks me out. I can't even do that. So that's not gonna work either. I gotta go to platinum, is what you're saying, Doc.
24 karat gold, platinum, sterling silver, the good stuff.
Okay. Okay. Maybe I'll just stay away from jewelry altogether. If you're just joining, you are welcome to Tea and Conversation. We are on here with Dr. Tinsley. Dr. Tinsley, what's you got a picture up here that's talking about a Chicago butt lift.
Mhm.
What's the difference between the Chicago butt lift and the Brazilian? Why are all these women looking like Betty Boop? I mean, is there something that I'm missing here?
Okay, so the Brazilian butt lift, which is wildly popular, it adds projection, how much the butt sticks out. The Chicago butt lift adds projection, but it also adds hips. Okay, so some women want hips as well as projection, and that's the only difference, and it's the same price.
Okay. So Chicago butt lift what's the difference between that and the Brazilian? So when I'm assuming these are all different surgeries. When that waist, they almost look like they have one of those God, what are they? The bindings. So those people used to wear these bindings that pull their waist in, waist trainers or so on and so forth. So that's a surgery for that too, to get that.
Well, that's something completely different.
Okay.
Okay, you're talking about the corset. Yeah, the corset procedure is not liposuction. It's a surgical procedure. I don't actually do that procedure. So,
Okay.
like I said before, most of our patients are postpartum women, and they want natural looking, right?
Yeah. Right.
So we don't do bottom heavy, because that looks unnatural, and it catches your eye like, oh wow, she has something done. We don't do that. This woman here, she has what's called grade 3 bootyiosis, which is ideal, but she's 6 feet tall and very athletic. That might look ridiculous on somebody else. Right? So it's about dimension and proportion. It's not about size. All people ever talk about is size, right? What makes you look good is the dimension and proportion. There should be a nice contour, an arch in your back, a definite point where the back stops and the butt starts. There should be a continuous curve from top to bottom and side to side. And there should be a nice crease as the butt hits the posterior or the back of the thigh. That's what makes a nice looking butt.
Okay, I have another question here, and I'm trying to interpret it, Dr. Tinsley, so bear with me. Why the BBLs don't connect to the black thighs? I don't know what that means. Is that surgeon talk?
No. So basically what she's talking about is a lot of people are getting these butt lifts that are disproportionate to their bodies, especially their thighs. So you got this big old orange on top of a little bitty pencil, and it just looks bad.
Yeah, it does.
Right? That's not the patient's fault necessarily. All right? That's not necessarily the patient's fault. We only do natural looking. You probably gained from our conversation that a lot of math is involved in our practice because we're into dimension and proportion for your body. We actually have a grading scale that we developed to have this conversation about the butt. So you can quantify it based on the presence of hips and projection. And the grading scale is called bootyiosis, the condition of the butt. So grade 1 has no width and no projection. Grade 2 has one or the other. They have hips, they don't have projection. They have projection, they don't have hips. Grade 3 is ideal in width and projection, and grade 4 is excessive. There is something mathematically defined as excessive. And if you obey these parameters, you can have a nice, normal butt.
Okay. So is that the doctor's responsibility to recommend that? Or do you guys, they come in there, they say they want this thing that looks like an orange, and you're like, okay, I warn you against it. How does that go?
It doesn't go in my office. We don't do it.
Okay. Okay, because
But I already have a reputation, so we don't really have. That doesn't really happen often.
okay.
Our people come to us because they want natural looking.
Okay. So if you're just joining, again, we're here with Dr. Tinsley. He is a surgeon. He also has a flawless skin line that I'm very interested in. And I'm going to go on that website once I get off this. Make sure you put that in there so people can, you can put it in the chat at least where people can reach out to it. Doc, so the other thing that I wanted to ask, what was the question? I just saw the question. And thank you again for joining Tea and Conversation. Um, if someone was interested in having just a consultation, they should reach you. What should they expect? How was that process? How does that process go? They come out, they come to you, you do a consultation. What are the steps before?
Okay, so the initial contact oftentimes is via text message or inbox on Facebook, and they have what's called a virtual consult, or they can call the number 312-222-0030. Due to COVID, we do a lot of pre-screening before we have the patients actually schedule an appointment, and they'll be asked a number of questions, primarily privately, in terms of like health history. Do you have any chronic medical illnesses, previous surgeries, allergies to medicine, and are you currently taking any medications? The most common questions. And of course, then the BMI is calculated, height and weight. So we get a sense of whether or not the person is even appropriate for the procedure that they're considering. After that point, then they would make an appointment. Membership is required to be seen at the office. Membership is $100. It's good for an entire year, and it's good for an entire household. So two people living together can share a membership. They show up in the office, consultation fee is free for members. So the $200 consultation fee is waived if you're a member, which is only $100. So that makes sense. Their blood pressure and vital signs will be taken, their height and weight. And then I would see them and I would go through a consultation with them. First, the medical history, then an examination, then what their goals and objectives are. Then we have a PowerPoint similar to this. And we go through what they can expect, and which is very, very important. And also what the risks are as well. And then finally, discuss the costs. Office has a LIPO layaway, every conceivable payment method, cash, credit cards, payment plans, even different finance options. And the front office deals with that part. If they decide to move forward that particular day, their blood will be drawn, diagnostic tests will be done, pictures will be taken, and measurements will be taken, and they will make a deposit of $1,000. They'll discuss the schedule with them, but they will not put them on the schedule until they've paid in full. But they will not let them pay in full until those labs come back normal.
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Doctor, very much for coming, joining Tea and Conversation. This has been very eye-opening. I am so looking forward to trying some of those skincare products, and even maybe becoming a member. Maybe becoming that member, come over there and see how I get them abs back, Doc. I mean, I only need a 3-pack. I don't even need, no, maybe an 8-pack. Just an 8-pack. I don't need 6. Hey, listen, I don't need the 6. I mean, I want the dad. Hey, I heard the dad bod is in. How do I get that? Get rid of my abs? Okay.
Man, that comes natural.
The dad bod is that. I heard that's the thing now. I was reading Cosmopolitan. The dad bod is what everybody wants. So maybe I should just stick with.
You want to know how to get it? You want to tell you the secret to getting a dad bod?
What's that?
Pay tuition.
Pay tuition. There it is. Okay, there it is. It's if my guess, if you're on YouTube or Facebook, if you don't have any more questions, I am not going to hold the doc up. His time is valuable, and I appreciate him coming on here for the hour. He spent the whole hour. My other guests, I don't know what happened, but I'm glad you had a lot of information, and you had slides. We should have just made this the Dr. Tinley show, the Dr. Tinley hour, okay? Because this is good stuff. I mean, who wants to talk about cleaning products? Because that's the other person she was supposed to be talking about, cleaning products. But
everybody needs cleaning products.
Well, you do, but she was doing more commercial cleaning. And of course, I hope she comes back on. I don't know what happened to her, but I didn't get a link or anything saying she wasn't going to join us. But this, again, is Black Awareness Month. Dr. Tinley is a Black business owner. He's right here in Orland, not Tinley. I thought you was in Orland, but he is in the Southland area. So if you are looking for a Chicago butt lift, okay, not that Brazilian where you look all Betty Boopish, okay?
No. We do Brazilians and we do Chicago.
I'm sorry,
some Brazilians are good. Some Brazilians are great. Some not.
Doc, so sometimes I get a little carried away. Some of those, what I'm seeing right now, the trends, okay? And some of the trends that I'm seeing, do you have a picture of some of these trends, Doc? Do you have, some of them look,
I don't do it.
They look like Roger Rabbit. I mean, it looks like stuff I would see in the movies.
We
And
specialize in natural looking,
Okay.
right? Like I told you earlier, we're about that science. We're
Yes.
doing math. It's going to be dimensional and proportional. You can wear this butt to work, to church, to the PTA meeting.
yes.
Right? I call them them DR booties. They only work in the club.
Yeah. Yeah. They don't work nowhere else. Okay. Yeah. And I don't even know how they sit on the doggone thing. But in any event, Doctor, thank you very much for joining me. This has been very insightful and enlightful. Michelle, I see you got a question for the doc before he goes?
I don't, but I do want to thank you for the information. And I'm definitely going to get these dark spots away from my eyes.
Yes. And I'm about to start drinking. I got to go get me a water hole so I can just keep it connected to me so I can stay hydrated. Okay. Because doctor's saying, hey, I ain't getting enough water.
Number one is water. Number
Water. 64 ounces. That's a lot of water, Doc.
That's only 4 bottles. That's only 4 bottles.
Doc, can I put a little Kool-Aid in there though?
That's not water. That's Kool-Aid.
In any event.
When scientists are looking for signs of life on other planets, they ain't looking for Kool-Aid.
No, they looking for, you know what? That's why you got all them books behind you. That's a pretty insightful. You're absolutely right. They looking for water, not looking for.
Yeah, and these are real books. This is not.
Yeah. I thought that was a virtual. I'm sorry. I thought it was a virtual background.
Yeah.
Doc, thank you very much for joining us here on TN Conversation. You're always welcome anytime. If you want people to know about your skin line product, feel free. You can always come back, and we do this every Monday at 7 o'clock. You can jump in at any time. You're always a friend of mine. That's why you can call me Adam, Doc. So
maybe we can break it down into one topic.
Just one topic. Yeah, that's it. That's it. That's all we'll talk about. Next time, I thought that's all we talked about today.
Man, we covered everything today.
How many topics did we talk about? Did I miss something?
Yeah, we talked about tummy tucks. We talked about liposuction. We talked about skincare. We talked about moles. We talked about butt lift.
But the one topic
we talked about keloids.
But hold up, Doc. I think the one topic was you.
Good answer.
There you go, Doc.
That's why you're the host.
The one topic was you. I can't help it that you're a man of many talents, but the topic was really to highlight you. So I appreciate you talking about all the different things that you do in the space that you operate. But this was about Dr. Tinley. You know I'm a politician, right?
Oh, I'm sorry. Mr. Trustee, I got you.
Thank you very much for joining us here on TN Conversation, okay? We will see you on the B side when we make those consultations, because me, Michelle, and Cassandra, we on our way. 8-pack it is. I'm on my way. Okay, so we will be seeing you at the office. Oh, well, I guess we'll be seeing you on Zoom because we can't come to the office first.
Well, you can call. We'll take it from there.
We'll just call.
312-222-0030. The website is drtinsley.com, drtinsley.com.
I'm about to lock that in right now. Dr. Tinsley.
No, Tinsley with an S.
Tinsley.
Right. .com, drtinsley.com. Facebook page is Elton Xavier Tinsley.
Is your website under construction?
No. It's drtinsley.com. Or just call 312-222-0030.
One more time.
312-222-0030.
Okay, well, I got you locked in. Again, thank you very much for joining us here at TN Conversation. If you're still online, we do have a couple of things that we have to cover. We have a meeting tomorrow. So if you're in the Village of Glenwood will be having their board meeting. There are a couple of interesting topics that are going to be coming down the pipeline. So if you can, the meeting starts at 7 o'clock. There's a more national night out. Now we're getting back to the business of the village. So I look forward to seeing each and every one of you tomorrow at the Village Hall for our meeting. So Michelle, what you think?
About what?
What do you think? I thought that was really good. Actually,
I definitely enjoyed the show tonight. It was very informative, and yeah, I like it.
And you know what's so interesting is that both of the shows, I have to say, last week and this week, I thought were just eye-opening. I mean, we sometimes forget these people walk amongst us, but there's some brilliant people out there doing some great things. And it's nice to see, especially since we're highlighting Black businesses during Black Business Awareness Month, that we have so much talent out here, because it gives me hope. It makes me feel like we're making strides. We may not be where we want to be, but we ain't where we were. Sorry, did I say that right? You know where I'm going with that. So, but I love to see that. And Dr. Tinsley, he seems like a nice guy. He seems like a friendly guy. I'm going to check out his the skincare products, because I mean, I'm big into the skincare products. And if this is a good line, I may have a new product.
Yeah,
What was it called again?
Flawless.
Flawless.
I don't think it's commercially available. I think you have to get it from his website.
Oh, flawless.com. I'm looking for his website. When I popped it up, did you find his website? Because it
said under construction.
It did. It said under construction.
It said doing some maintenance or something. Yeah.
Under maintenance. So he's got to get that. He's got to get that together so I can get the products. Because I really wanted to see some of the skincare products. So what do you think of the weather? I have to ask this. And I'm only going to ask for the weather for a brief moment, because I want to just shift. I know we're kind of over our time, but it's been a little cool. What you think? Or is it just nice? Or you think it's nice to have weather this like this in August?
So it's nice weather, I guess. I personally prefer fall in the fall.
Me too.
And I could use the summer to stay around a little longer. I don't know, global warming is doing a number on the planet. Places are flooding, there are droughts, there are record high temperatures. I remember, growing up, and I grew up right here in Chicago, July and August was hot, hot, hot. Even into September was hot. And we didn't really start getting fall weather until like towards the end of September, starting into October. And I've considered the 70s like all day. That's fall weather to me.
Yeah. This seems very fallish. I want to send a shout out to the people that were injured in yesterday's shooting. I think over there at Six Flags. I'm not 100% sure what went on with that yet. I don't have any updates about the shooting. All I know is it's just way too many guns out here, and I'm not even blaming it on the guns, so don't come at me with that. But I do know that 2 teens were wounded. A third person was injured at a shooting at Six Flags. You had another individual who drove his car through a barricade yesterday, and then ended up taking his life. So I don't know what's really going on out here, but there is something definitely going on in terms of how people are handling conflict and how they are trying to get the type of attention that they need. Now, one thing I'm saying that for a reason, Michelle, when they raided Mr. Trump's house, okay, I know that he also did some calling for people to boycott the elections and so on and so forth. And it almost reminds me of, he essentially is doing the same thing he did the day that people raided the Capitol, right? He's like, hey, it just doesn't make sense to me. He's essentially telling people, giving them a marching order, a standing order, kind of like what he did the day they stormed the Capitol.
I didn't hear what he said. I know that one guy who showed up at the FBI in Philadelphia, he came out and said that he was not, although, let me say this right. The guy who went to the FBI in Philadelphia with I forget what kind of gun he had, but he went there to defend President Trump's honor because he's mad at the FBI. He was arrested, and they do have photographs of him on January 6th at the Capitol as well.
You talking about the guy who shot himself?
Did he shoot himself?
The guy who ran through the barricades and killed this weekend, he actually ended up killing himself.
Did he?
That's what
I don't know if we're talking about the same person. Because I didn't think he killed himself.
Okay.
But it could be, I
gunman.
don't know. Cassandra, like, I'm tired of this bad shit.
Well, she wasn't really on anyway.
Oh, okay. I don't know. I didn't know that he killed himself. I didn't think that he had killed himself. But I could be wrong.
Man kills himself after ramming his car into the Capitol barricades. So
No, this happened at the FBI in Philadelphia.
Yeah. So that wasn't what you were talking about?
No, what I'm talking about is what happened at the FBI in Philadelphia. That's not the Capitol.
Oh, okay.
The Capitol is in
We're
Washington.
talking about two different things.
Yeah. So, no, this happened in Philadelphia at the FBI. And I know that Trump or someone on his team did make a statement kind of denouncing this man and, whatever it was that he was doing. So, I mean, I don't know. His rhetoric is whatever he feels like serves him at the time. Unless someone else writes for him, I don't believe that he can be coherent, so to speak.
Well, but I mean,
Off the
listen,
cuff.
I Michelle, I do think that some of his I think that he has some very loyal followers, right? And
No, I know. And they stand by and stand
by
down,
him,
stand
right?
by.
And they will do stuff out of this false sense of defending him, stuff that Donald Trump would probably never do for them, but
No, he wouldn't.
yeah, but they do a lot of crazy things, and I'm just wondering. I'm not going to talk about the shootings that happened at Six Flags because I don't think that particular shooting was motivated by the political climate. But I do think that the guy who killed himself at the Capitol, I do feel like these are some people that are acting out. They think that they're taking this martyr-like stance for Trump, especially when he calls for folks to boycott and do different things. Essentially, to me, he's doing kind of the same things that he did when people thought that it was a good idea to storm the Capitol all along. So
yeah, I don't disagree, but I think that there's so much there's so many different reasons that people are doing the things that they're doing. The Trump thing, that's just one piece of the puzzle. There was a shooting. I think it was a semi-professional football player who was coaching a little league football game, was killed by one of the coaches of the other football team yesterday or day before yesterday, right in front of the kids.
oh my God, I didn't hear about that.
That happened in, I want to say,
Was that in Buffalo?
no, I want to say it was Texas, but it might not have been Texas. But they are, it was a really sad story. And his own son was on the team. So his own son was on the field when this man shot him and killed him in front of all the other children.
And how does he, I was talking to somebody else about this. Like, I don't think that these individuals that do some of these things, Michelle, actually, you shoot a person and then what, right?
No, they have no idea what they're doing. I don't know what part of a football game, a kid's football game, made you feel like you needed to shoot somebody.
Right. And what do you think? What does he think? He's gonna live happily ever after? Like, okay, I shot him.
But that's the thing, that's the problem. And I said that just to say that overall, while Donald Trump may be saying whatever it is that he's saying, there is a disconnect, period, that make people react, that's making people react in the way that they are. The shooting at Six Flags, all the people getting attacked on the L train, all these little things. It's like, what is going on? What are you thinking?
Yeah.
Because there's nothing that any person could say that would make me pick up a gun and shoot somebody else.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think that is, I don't think that they think out, okay, like, I don't know if they recognize that once you shoot the person, you still have to, like, you're gonna go eat lunch, you're gonna face the consequences, you're gonna live happily ever after, but you're gonna go have dinner with the kids, like,
No, you going to jail.
you're going to jail. And personally, what I think is that they don't even recognize that there's worse things than getting shot, going to jail, losing your family, watching yourself completely implode, losing your job, losing everything that you thought that you ever wanted to be. Why risk all of that, right? Why risk that for an
But that's what I'm
emotional
saying. There is a disconnect. There is something very, very wrong.
Well, I hope that they work it out, because I don't see
Who's
right
the
now
they?
well, I'm hoping the people. I mean, they are the people. I just, it seems to be an epidemic. It doesn't seem like it's just, it used to be a time, like when I grew up in Detroit, I remember when I used to hear gunshots, you used to listen for how close they were. Then it went through a window where, oh, that only happens in Black communities. Now it's everywhere, right? So, is there, I say that we need some public service announcements, right? Where we need to start telling people how, hey, if you find yourself having a problem, call Adam. And before you do something stupid, call Adam. He'll talk you off the ledge.
Or talk you over the ledge.
Either way it goes, it will be virtual, so you won't be there to be able to shoot me. But my thoughts is we need some sort of public. And listen, we people sleeping on my theory, but they had an initiative a couple of years ago. They had these initiatives where you couldn't call a person a faggot, right? You couldn't say those words are gay. Oh, that's so gay. Remember they had these initiatives where you'd see them and they had sport athletes coming out saying, now people don't say those words. Why not? Those obviously they work. I don't hear people calling people those words as often as I once upon a time did, or referring to people, using those type of words. Could it be something as simple as public service announcements telling people that, look, stop overreacting. Think about the consequence of your current action. Do we need to start having Mickey Mouse fly around like they did during the war and drop leaves?
I do believe that there is some validity to what you just said. But I think it starts with kids. I mean, kids nowadays are not raised the way you and I were raised.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I can't speak to your upbringing, although I have an idea. But in my house, I was held accountable for my actions.
Yeah.
I was held accountable for my actions. I was taught to think about the things that to act with intention, to act with purpose. Don't just do something to do it. And, I got angry. All people get angry. I got angry, but I was taught how to manage my anger. Like, did I hit my sisters every time they got on my nerves? No, because I couldn't. As much as I might have wanted to, I couldn't.
Right. And you know what? And that's interesting. I tell my sons the same thing, that just because you guys get mad at each other, you got to learn how to disengage, right? You cannot just go.
Or how to problem solve.
Right. Or how to problem solve. Now, I used to have a rule. I used to have a rule in my house. If you argue, I'm just going to take, like, if they're arguing about the game, I'm going to figure it out. If y'all can't figure it out, I will figure it out. Meaning I'll take the game system away from you, right? But now they both got their own game system. So how do I punish them?
How do you punish them? It depends.
The
punishment needs to fit the crime. So
right. Well, maybe they don't need a punishment anymore.
Well, I don't know. Whatever, it depends. If they still commit crime, they still need punishment.
Yeah.
So the punishment must fit the crime.
Well, Yeah, sometimes I just want to beat them for things that I think they're going to eventually do. And
Well-
you know, so they don't have to
Um,
necessarily do anything, but just like it's just like get them. Michelle, what did you see on the agenda? Anything I need to worry about?
What did I see on the agenda? No, it was pretty, it wasn't nothing really exciting on the agenda. I did not go through bills with a fine tooth comb like I said I was going to, but I didn't get around to it.
Right.
But I think the only thing I saw on there that I was really interested in is the what's going on with Tuscan Garden, because I thought he already got his extended time, so I don't know why he's back. And or maybe, I don't know, maybe the wording was changing and now you guys are voting on it. I don't know. But that, and then I'm interested to see this, to hear whatever the presentation is about the crime-free housing, because I've heard on multiple occasions that it's been ready for a long time and never on the agenda.
Well, it was brought up. Okay, so the crime-free housing ordinance was brought up, and I didn't like it. It seemed like it was going after individuals that rented. So it's just like, if you're a renter, you should not feel like you're being discriminated by any community. In fact, my critique of it is that, okay, the renter, not the owner of that property, actually pays more in many ways than people who own their houses, because they're not entitled to any of the entitlements that come along when you live in the actual residence, right? So my thoughts are, if the language, which I noticed that there's a ton of things that have been crossed out, but if the language goes too far, where it seems like it's deliberately, it's creating new walls for someone to rent their property, I'm out. I'm just not interested, because it does not do the public, it doesn't serve the public. We already have something in place. And I don't think that, bearing down, is it really the renters that are having the difficulties? Show me the data there, right? And then secondly, is that the couple of shootings that were in this community happen to be people that actually weren't renting, right? So it's defaulting, in my humble opinion, or shifting blame to an area that I don't necessarily believe is.
Well, I think I would like to hear the presentation, because I didn't hear the presentation.
You don't remember the presentation? You were there.
I don't remember a presentation of this.
And the motion died, I think, if I recall. Nobody seconded the motion, and it kind of fell off. And it was very. I'm gonna be honest with you. I thought that was. I'm glad that it did, because it just went, in my humble opinion, too far. And again, I was a renter. I've rented before. I don't like any language that seems that is targeting those individuals that are not homeowners. I don't like it. It makes me, and I think that we have to be very careful, because it could open up ourselves to.
Well, like I said, I personally would like to hear the presentation.
You should read it, Michelle. Is in the package.
Okay. But I'd like to know the thinking behind it before making, I may have questions, put it that way. So I'd like to hear, okay, we came up with this based on what? That's what I want to hear.
Well,
what was this based on?
And what I gathered, it was brought up. Were there any renters? Were there any renters in that committee?
I have no idea.
No, and I don't either. But I think that you have to have a segment of people, or even the owners of those properties, even if it wasn't the renter per se, but the owners of those properties.
So let me ask this question. So the crime-free housing is all about renting?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Crime-free, they can't throw you out of the house you own. So they targeting really those people that are considered renters? To me, it almost seems like there's a little discriminatory practice.
I'm gonna hold my judgment because I'd like to, like I said, I want to read it. And I also want to hear the thinking behind it so that I can make an informed judgment.
Right. Well, I've been looking at it, right, and I continue to look at it, and my comments are merely, and it's been really redacted this time, right? So I need to go back through it because there's so much language that has just been stricken from it. So I need to see what the lawyer decided to strike out of this particular document. Because before it just really seemed as if it was going after, it was really kind of heavy on those individuals that are renters. And it was creating another step for anybody who wanted to rent their house to someone. And I don't think that we shouldn't be finding ways to make the process more complicated. What we should be doing is trying to find ways to make, and I'm kind of a pro-business, right?
So, and don't get me wrong, I don't think that there's well, I don't know rules regarding like renting and things in that nature, but I personally feel like there should be some sort of limit, and I don't even know if the village can do that, but like a limit on rental properties.
Well, so you kind of, that kind of crosses that, that threshold, like, it's another way of discriminatory practices, and that's my caution. I just don't want to create any appearance that we're targeting anybody that's renting.
Well, no, I'm not targeting any person.
No, I'm not talking about you. Michelle, I'm talking to
when
Joe.
I say that, it's like, okay, so I don't know how many households we have in Glenwood. I know that just based on some, because somebody asked us in our homeowners association meeting a few months ago, how many homes are in Brooklyn Point? It's 918 homes. So of that 918 homes, is there a way that, no more than 30% of them could be rented out?
Well, I mean, those type of ordinances can be created.
And I'm saying by the village, not by the homeowners, but I'm saying, but
by ordinance, those can be created.
Right.
Does it violate? And I guess that would be the question that I would ask. You look at communities like Cal City, which is heavy and it's a transient population, right? Nobody's moving to Cal City. You own a house over there. You want to pay your mortgage. You don't want to lose your house. You rent the house out. Does it limit the homeowner from being able to do what they need to do in order to maintain their property?
Well, I mean, I can't answer that. I just feel like, I don't know. And maybe I am discriminatory in my thinking. I don't know, but I just know that I feel like people who own their homes have more of they have more at stake. They have more skin in the game.
Yeah. I mean, I hear that argument. Yet they don't pay more, because the reality is, as a renter, you pay. You pay what the owner says you pay, because the owners don't get any exemptions. The owners of the properties, when they're renting them, they can't take the exemption on their taxes. They can't take, senior freeze. They can't take any of those things. So
okay, but here, so, and I get, multiple streams of income, and this is the way you make your living, by renting properties and blah 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 blah. Fine, I get all that, and that's why I said, is there a way to limit it? Because like you said, everybody, all the homes in Cal City are for rent.
Well, it's an area now that's changed, but did the area change because of the renters, or are the renters saving that area because nobody's buying those homes?
I don't know
You get my point?
what came first, the chicken or the egg, but what I will say is, if the homeowner is not doing what they need to do for their property, then that's the beginning of the downfall.
Yeah. Yeah, I get your point. I get your point. I just, like I said, I'm very sensitive. I'm very sensitive to, I mean, it's easy to get on our high horses and
It's not about a high horse, I don't think.
Well,
I'm not saying that no
I'm
home
not,
should be
I mean,
rented.
still, don't take this personal, but I'm saying sometimes people who are homeowners forget that their humble beginnings. That's all.
No, and I get you, and I totally understand what you're saying. And that's why I would never say, oh, I don't want anybody to rent. But I do think there should be a cap. It's like, okay, we have X amount of rental properties in this residential rentals in this area. We have this many properties, 30% of them can be rented out. And all those rentals need to be registered and licensed and inspected and all of that stuff. And when we get to that number, if someone else wants to rent their property, they cannot, because the number is, we have reached capacity.
Right. Well,
That's all I'm saying.
I just think that that's an incredibly slippery slope.
How?
And I mean, I think it's a slippery slope. It's fine. I think it's an unnecessary rule. Like, say for instance, people start migrating out of the town. Then that ordinance, then it's okay because nobody wants to live here. Then it's okay because you want those properties to be not considered blight. So then it's okay. I think that we can't do long-term problem solving by creating short-term solutions, right?
And see, I don't think that's a short-term solution. I think that's a long-term solution, because you maintain 60% owner-occupied property.
Yeah, I reckon you're right, Michelle.
I mean, I don't know. I don't even know if you can do that. I don't even know if that's something that
Well, anything can be done. I mean, hey, we're home rule, remember?
Right, but I don't know if that's something you can mandate or not.
This is America. We can do whatever we want in America. That's what they say. We can do whatever we want in America. Hey, I know I was looking at some years back, I was looking at some property in Pilsen. So I was looking at some property in Pilsen because, it's a cool area. I thought it would be nice to be able to rent a place down there where when I like to go, I like art and stuff like that. So I would love to go to some of those little art shows down there. So if I had a little cheap place, because they were renting them for the college students. So I was like, okay, I could get a little bit. They were discriminating. They were flat out. Like the guy, when he comes to, and it was the Hispanics discriminated against the blacks, in my humble opinion, because they owned the properties. When they find out you were black, they wouldn't rent it for you. So people are being slick in a lot of different ways of discriminatory practices, but at some point they're all going to come to a head. That's my caution.
And I don't think it's discrimination. I really don't. I think that.
Well, wait a minute. Wait a minute. But and this brings us to a good point. This is we're going to in January, and we have special guests that are going to be coming on in here in September that are going to be talking about this no cash bail. Now it's no cash bail. A lot of people are up in arms about the cash bail. When I say it's discriminatory, we do know that people use monetary ways to exclude various people for whatever reason.
Right.
So we know that practice happened. They know it with the no cash bail that's coming up in January, which we're going to get ahead of this because in September, we're going to be talking about it. I have some special guests that are going to be coming on there that are going to be talking about it because Kim Fox's office is about to be packed. I really want to get LG Sims, the sponsor. So if you're listening, LG Sims, I'd love for you to come on Tea and Conversation and tell us about your thinking behind the no cash bail bill that you sponsored, that's coming out in January, that's going to further make it's going to make it weird, right? Because people are going to say when some idiot goes around shooting that should have been locked up, it's going to create another just congestion in terms of the legal system because people are going to be getting out without, they don't even need the money, right? And I'd like to know the thinking behind this no cash bail. But I also realized, Michelle, going back to our point, because these are relevant, we've been talking about money. Anytime you can exclude people by making the rent higher or limiting access, that's a discriminatory practice. That's my caution.
So I'm not, and I think you misunderstand what I'm saying, because I'm not talking about limiting access to anyone.
What is that called? You were in the housing, what was that thing called? What is it? The housing?
What?
What is that? What's the law? The Housing Act?
I don't know. The Urban Housing Development or something?
Was it the thing that prevents discrimination in housing practices? What was that?
Oh, I don't remember.
I can't, it's on the tip of my tongue.
But no, what I'm not talking about limiting access to anyone.
Fair housing. Fair housing,
right. I'm not talking about limiting access. I'm not talking about pricing anybody out. What I'm talking about is limiting the amount of properties that can be rented. Any property that can be rented is open to whoever wants to rent it, or whoever the landlord decides to rent it to. I'm not saying that you can't rent here, but what I'm saying is when every apartment is gone, you can't rent in that building. It's not discriminatory. It's just not available.
Discrimination against, so here, I'm gonna read this one to you. Discrimination against home renters and buyers by landlords, sellers, or account. So this was the Fair Housing Act of 1968 to protect families and children. So they have, and we really need to dive into this, because what I'm concerned about is that does this crime-free ordinance,
Adam,
does it cross over into the discriminatory laws for renters? Because because there is a law protects renters. That's federal.
No, I understand that, but if I have a 16-unit building and all 16 of my units are rented out, is it discrimination because I won't let you rent? No, I don't have the space.
Well, it's hard to prove, but you may not be renting them to because they're dark-skinned African American.
Okay, that's going to be between the individual property owner and the person who is coming to rent. That has nothing to do with the municipality, because only the individual property owner can discriminate against the renter. The municipality cannot, because the municipality is not renting anything.
Right. Okay. But the municipality cannot tread over into laws that infringe on.
Where are they doing that? How are they doing that? By saying that.
So what I'm suggesting is I'm begging the question. Does this crime-free ordinance tread over into that space? I'm begging the question. I'm not saying where are they doing it.
It cannot. There's no way that it can, because the municipality can't discriminate.
Okay.
Because they're not the ones picking and choosing who gets to rent.
Right, but if you're creating laws or ordinances that essentially help to fan the flames of discrimination.
So, okay,
Shouldn't
so
we stay away from
tell
it?
me what in that crime-free ordinance.
I
fans
don't,
the flames of
I'm reading it right
discrimination?
now, so I don't have all of the nuts and bolts. This was my concerns with the original version of it.
Okay,
Okay, the original version, now this one has been redacted beyond, and I'm gonna read it more, I'm gonna go into more details with it. But my caution with it all along was, I'm just very cautious with anything that could be used as another means to discriminate. I'm very sensitive to that. This is my feelings, right?
okay.
So
And
I just,
I'm not gonna tell you that you're wrong, but what I will say,
well, I mean, hell, it wouldn't be the second time.
it wouldn't be my second time. You're absolutely right. But no, I'm not gonna tell you that you're wrong, but what I will say is that I don't think that limiting the amount of properties available for rent is discriminatory. And whatever our ordinances are,
But do you need to limit, if you have a community that people want to buy and live in?
yes, yes.
No, I mean, because you.
Okay, let me say this. I think that in my opinion, my humble opinion, in order to keep the neighborhood in,
Guess who's coming to dinner?
it don't have nothing to do with people. It has everything to do with property.
Okay, but I'm just saying that
You can't maintain your property if you're not there.
You sound like Raisin in the Sun for a minute. You know,
You
remember?
can hire a service, you could do whatever you want to do, but we're not going to have a sense of community. We're not going to have a sense of involvement. We're not going to know our neighbors if it's a new lease every year.
How do we get a sense of community? Because I think that's where the focus should be on, not creating ways to exclude, but finding better ways to include. That's
Right.
I guess that's the way.
You're really not even gonna have to worry about renters if something don't happen with the school system.
That's
Because ain't nobody gonna want to rent here.
That's my point. We, as opposed to building walls or creating walls to keep folks out, let's find ways to make it a community that people do want to buy and live. And that's where my focus is. So again, anything that doesn't align or jive with that, I think is a waste of energy. We need to find ways to include, not exclude individuals. That's my issue. That's my critique about the Home Owners Association. I thought that it should be the home association. That way you don't ostracize those people that are renters. And I don't know why, I was in Country Club Hills. It just seems like renters have an X on their chest, and not all renters are bad, just like not all homeowners are good. So I think that
I agree with you. I absolutely agree with you that not all renters are bad. They're excellent renters, I'm sure.
And there are some bad landlords. Look at the guy over there on your block. I mean, not bad landlords, bad owners. Look at the guy on your block who you can see all the way through his house because the side of the house is out that we're trying to repair. So you got, and he's an owner, right? He's not a renter.
Right. Of course. There's going to be good and bad all the way across the board.
How would that crime-free ordinance address him?
Is he not committing no crimes?
Ask the neighbor next door to him. I bet you he think it's a crime when he can see all the way through.
I'm sure he does. Yeah. But no, you're right. There's good and bad across the spectrum. Owners, renters, landlords, everybody. They're good ones, they're bad ones. But I do believe and I'm not going to believe you if you tell me otherwise, that owner-occupied properties, for the most part, are cared for better than rental properties.
So you have another young lady in the town who reached out to me. She's a renter, very good neighbor. and her landlord is not taking those, according to her, that's not taking those steps to make certain that the house is maintained. She's trying to,
Exactly. That's
Secure the
exactly
house.
what I'm talking about.
so you got this.
So it's not about her, it's about the landlord. But either way, it's about the rental property.
Right. So what you're saying is we don't really need this ordinance.
No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm
Oh,
saying
okay.
is, I don't know whether we need the ordinance or not, because I haven't read the ordinance. But what I'm saying is, in my opinion, there should be a limit to the amount of properties that can be rented in the town. And once
You're gonna stay there.
and all of those properties need to be licensed and inspected annually. And if they don't pass inspection, then they can't be leased until they do.
Wait, Zeke is what over there?
And like I said, if we have 900 properties that can be rented, and I go to the village today and say, I want to register my.
But are we, but I guess, Michelle, are we having that issue now? Right? So why create something, why create a nuisance when there's none? Like, are we having like an overpopulation of renters at the present moment?
I wouldn't know that. I know a couple people who are renting. I don't know them personally, but I know a couple of properties that are being rented out right now. And one of them in particular is not cared for very well. The people who live there seem to be perfectly fine. There's no issues with them. But they don't care about the lawn maintenance, and they'll cut the weeds, but they definitely not going to pay True Green to come out and get the weeds out of there. They cut the bushes every 2 years when they get past the window so you can't see.
That's what we did early.
So it's like the property does not look good. The people seem to be perfectly fine though. They don't bother anybody.
I'm a pivot for a minute, but I see this coach Mike Hickaman. He was
That's what I was telling you about.
Yeah, he was a coach that was shot. It was in Texas, so it doesn't even look like they were trying to shoot him. They were trying to shoot the referee, and of course, ended up killing the.
Either way, that's
right. I'm not saying that to justify or make light of the cold hard facts, but the fact that you're bringing a gun to a 9U football.
Was it 9U? I know it was young kids, but I know
it was a 9-year-old game. Like, and you know what? So I this past summer, if you didn't know, I coached at Flossmoor, and I coached at Flossmoor because in Glenwood we just did not have enough of the age group that I coached. So I coached the bigger kids, the 12, 13, 14, 15-year-olds. And one of the parents, I had to pull his son because, quite frankly, the kid was in the middle of the field doing absolutely nothing. And most of the season, Michelle, I didn't have enough kids. When his kid was out there messing around, I just left him out there. Okay, because I didn't have enough kids anyway, and it's better to have a kid on the field than none at all.
Okay.
But this particular one game, I did have enough kids. And after talking to him 1,001 times about making grass angels. And so I just said, come on in, which I have is my prerogative. I can pull a kid in the game.
Right.
And his father became livid. Where we do that at, coach?
Oh yeah,
where we do that at, coach? That's what he started. I just ignored him, and that's really tough because I really wanted to pop back off at him. But he really just the father was so disrespectful that was no reason for it. I as the coach, I have a right to pull a kid. I have a right to put in the game. I'm the coach. So some of these parents are the problem. They are a major problem at some of these games, and I don't know the balance because you want the parents' involvement, but at the same time, some of them just go too far. They go
Right.
way too far with intervening and meddling in the kids' affairs. But where we do that at, coach? And then like the following week, so I ignored him, and I did. Oh, you would have been so proud of me. I completely ignored him, and I didn't want to. Okay. The following week, he was popping off at the mouth at somebody else. Okay. The other team, that one of the fathers on the other team had enough of him, and it was like, man, shut up. Okay, I'm not saying that he should have did it, but the other teams didn't like him talking, and they told him to shut up, and I didn't have to say nothing. So, but Little League, and people don't know, but these Little League games, Michelle, they're really kind of intense.
I do know. I hung around Little League for a really long
Oh
time.
my God, they're really intense. It's something to see these young people, especially if you're invested, like you're a coach or a parent, or it's really exciting to watch these kids because they don't play like I'm getting a check. They play like I'm out there, and that's exciting. So very exciting. All right, well, Michelle, I done kept you over for a whole hour. I appreciate your conversation. I am now getting ready to go get Raggedy Ann. I gotta go find some another black Raggedy Ann doll because I've been getting a lot of criticism that my Raggedy Ann, but I grew up on Raggedy Ann and Andy. I didn't care. But I will look for another one. I got the stupid comments in the background, which I don't know why it makes a difference, but I'm gonna get another Raggedy Ann so that way they can be black and white together. I get a strawberry one too. That way we can just have a Neapolitan or the United Nations.
Okay, well, you enjoy your Raggedy Ann.
Michelle, I will see you tomorrow night. You have a great evening, okay?
All right, you too. Bye-bye.
If you're just leaving Tea and Conversation, have a good night, guys. Thanks for hanging with us. Good night.
Did you get the